No like strict plan for today again. I'm getting very close on all these like huge changes for 1.7.20, but not quite there yet. It's still a little bit messy and not put together. So one of these weeks I'll have a big giant demo of like all the changes and everything, but not quite there yet. Ooh, small project. What have we here? Oh, cool. Text-based adventure games. That sounds awesome. Slow Python code. Python code by definition is, or not by definition, you can make efficient stuff with Python, but it's just not usually especially fast. Of course, with stuff like NumPy and different, not to get off on a tangent, but if you use Python to drive like fast things like GPUs or things like that, like it can be fast, but Python itself is not especially fast. Cool. I should definitely dive into this more. I love like text-based RPGs. I'm curious with you folks. Like the very first thing I learned when I was learning coding at first, like the first thing I wanted to make was like a text-based RPG, like a super simple thing. Like like you spot a goblin. What do you do? And you have three options, like attack or run away or something like that. Did everyone else do something like that? Is that like everyone else's like first thing you tried to code? Am I using Linux right now? Me? This is Mac OS, so I love me some Linux, but for my daily driver, I'm a Mac guy. Though I guess half the time I'm like coding server code and things like that, which is all running on Linux. So like, I guess you could debate like what my most used OS is.
Hello.
Hello. How goes it?
All right, it took a while, but here I am.
Good to hear you. So what's new? So once again, I don't have too much of a strict schedule for today, so let's just talk about whatever. I can tell you what I've been up to, or we can just chat random nerd stuff.
All right, random nerd stuff then coming up.
Sounds good.
So, for those who don't know, I have a game development job. I cannot disclose which company,
All right.
but however, I can share what I've been doing today, which is like very like general and not at all like specific, which I think is fine.
Okay, I'm sure. Yeah.
Basically, I've been those who know me even closer than that know that I have a thing for dynamic or adaptive music.
Uh-huh. Oh, cool.
This is basically like when a game plays a piece of music and then something happens. For example, you solve a puzzle and then the music like swells and goes higher, and then basically it's like an auditory reward that you done good.
Yeah, nice.
And I love when games do that, and today I had the opportunity to use Fmod and actually play around with it.
Oh, awesome.
This
So,
is like a middleware for like audio engineers. You can basically code audio behavior from the perspective of the sound engineer, and then the game programmer can basically tell you, okay, I'm gonna trigger this sound at this point, and then I'm gonna adjust these sliders so
yeah.
the sound can react. So you can, for example, play a piece of music, wait for the bar to finish before you transition, do vertical transitioning, stuff like that. So it can be very powerful.
That's awesome. So do they have like a set API around that? Is that something that's kind of like a thing that gets done a lot these days, like dynamic stuff like that?
Yeah, so Fmod is an API, so you can basically have to install it, and they have their license and stuff.
Uh-huh.
But some people do take it upon themselves to code it themselves. But yeah, if you are not a musician, you're probably not gonna code it very well.
Oh yeah.
It takes a specific like mindset to have it. Like we tried doing something like this without Fmod, and it's a pain, especially when you have a composer that made music and you constantly have to, communicate with them. So it's even more impressive when old games do this.
Oh
And there's
yeah.
like a single composer, which is also a programmer. They have to like code stuff like that and
Yeah.
things. So now, I love that knife music mostly because it makes certain emotions like much stronger, much more potent. It feels like the game is responding to you and it's actually congratulating you specifically,
Yeah.
which I think it doesn't really happen. For example, you beat a level, it's like level completed, and then it's like satisfying sounds and stuff. That's fine. But what if the sounds were like dependent on how high of a score you have? Like some arcade games do this, which is satisfying. That's why I love them. But yeah, you could do so much more. And apparently, this is one way to do it. Dynamic music. Look it up. It's very good.
Yeah, I've thought about that. That would be like super fun to play with. It does seem like, yeah, like when you hear music a lot of times in a game, it does feel a little canned or something like that. Like, oh, this is what it plays anytime anyone wins or something. It doesn't really feel like it's talking to you personally. So it does seem
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, like for me, coming from a movie background, I'm always like envisioning having like super dramatic moments in games. You know, like a good moment in a movie is totally scripted and like pre-planned to like really like tug at your heartstrings. You know, but like if a game could do that same thing by like just something that is a complete like one-off thing that only happened because you did something super awesome and it's like an amazing moment and it, like everything could emphasize that, like that'd be super cool. So
Yeah.
yeah,
In terms of modern games, Nintendo does a lot of that, even in their older games.
yeah, I actually
But
saw that. I ran into that
indies
this
do it
week.
too.
I was playing Super Mario World on my old like mini SNES that I got a long time ago with my girlfriend, showing her Super Mario World. And very early on, you get Yoshi. Like you jump on Yoshi, and it adds like drums to the soundtrack. Like the
Yeah.
music like changes just when you're riding Yoshi, and you jump off Yoshi, and it gets boring again. So it like
Yeah.
even that, it's like this little reward of like, yeah, I got Yoshi.
Yeah, this is a very classic example of adaptive music. So when people like try to describe it and try to give examples, this is probably the closest one that you'll give because this is like super wide. And in terms of like modern games, some people would say Hades, maybe the newer Mario games, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like I feel bad. I spend so much time coding for Bomb Squad and stuff these days. I feel like I don't play enough modern games, but I'd love to see like an awesome example of modern dynamic music. That'd be super
And
cool.
I should probably look out for some examples, maybe depending on what you want, because generally, when the dynamic music is used, so oftentimes it's because the game itself is like can change on a dime immediately.
Hmm.
There's this game called Noita, which is all about like 2D open world, which the entire thing is destructive, almost all of it. Lots of stuff happens, and the music has to basically jump in and out from ambience to like battle music to like super battle music. You're gonna die and stuff.
Oh,
And
cool,
each zone
cool.
has its own version and stuff. So it has to basically always track. I think it tracks stuff like recent damage done, environment damage, harmful liquids around you, and stuff like that. So when
Cool.
you take damage and you are on fire, chances are the music has a higher chance of actually jumping to the
Yeah,
highest possible intensity mode.
yeah. That's cool. That seems like a challenging thing though, or like to get it right because it's such like a tight integration between like tech and like music production and artistry and stuff like that. So like that
Yeah,
that would be
definitely.
really fun to a fun challenge to tackle. Yeah. So that's
Yeah,
awesome. You're
back in
getting
the
to work on
day,
that.
yeah, yeah, back in the day, you have to like code that yourself, and you had to know the hardware inside and out. So that's why people can never shut up about Wario Land 4 on the Game Boy Advance,
Oh yeah.
his greatest achievement. So of course, yeah, it has lots of stuff like music slows down when you crouch, music goes wobbly when you get stung by a bee and you float up.
Yeah.
Like there's lots of like weird and crazy stuff happening with the sound effects. But yeah, we could talk hours about that game in particular. But
Yeah.
when it comes to like other types of music, there's for example stuff like the music that doesn't react but like changes constantly. Like it never sounds the same every single time. So it's like sometimes it's ambience. I think that game company games do this, like Journey, I think, and Flower
Hmm.
in particular.
Cool.
So like games that like exist, but they don't exist. Like there aren't like one static track. There's no beginning, middle, end. Like all of it is seems like middle.
Yeah. Yeah.
It washes over you, and it's good for atmospheric games, especially for Bomb Squad. These kinds of music would probably be more like, hey, well, what if this team grabbed the flag? Maybe it's gonna go a bit like intense, like, wow, run away, you're gonna almost cap it, or have a different version for the other team or something like that. I'm just giving examples, but in co-op, for example, that would be the amount of bots on the playfield. Like you could have more intense music when there's dozens of bots, and then it calms down when the smoke clears and stuff. So there's lots of stuff you could do with dynamic music. Even apply it to a lot of games, especially maybe not like super singular games where there's like one single emotion and nothing changes, like Pac-Man maybe. But you could still like try to fit in something.
Yeah, I could imagine different scenarios like you mentioned, like onslaught or something like that. If you have like 4 people and you're down to like your last one, trying to finish a wave to save everyone else or something, I could see that that being a moment you'd want something super intense or like.
I tried to do something like extremely simple in one of the levels that I canceled, which basically means there's some special waves, which the music adds like an additional track. This is something that Binding of Isaac does. Like you don't have to sync to the beat if you play both versions at the same time. So both of them can play at the same time. One of them is silent, and then when something has to be more intense, just increase the volume of the other track. So that's the simplest one.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
have fancy transitions, but it works.
Oh, whoop. 1 second. Check out this character maker here.
Yeah, Gabby does a lot of squad projects, especially.
Oh, is this like a live thing? I was thinking this was. Prepare. I love the ambient music. Speaking of music here. Cool.
Yeah, that's. So those who know, they know.
Cool. Well, that's very awesome. Copy link.
This track gives you nightmares.
Oh no.
Sound like it does.
What's that? Is that track from something? Am I out? Is there like an inside joke I'm out of the loop on? So very cool.
It's from Bombing Over It.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it's also the night version of the JRP main menu.
Oh, yeah.
And it's also used in Getting Over It. So it's like, it's a stock jazz track. So yeah.
Okay.
But
cool.
it has new meaning because it's part of Bomb Squad.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna answer a few of these here. So how much rewriting mod code do you think modded server owners have to do when you drop the new line of commits? I'm hoping before I drop it, I want to make like a migration tool, or at least like a little command line thing that you can run that will basically run all the built-in checkers like MyPy and stuff like that. So I'm hoping to make like an easy way to help people get everything updated. There will be a lot of updating in terms of a lot of functions are in different places now and stuff like that. It's like most of the functionality is the same. It's just a lot of kind of like putting things in boxes and shifting things around. But yeah, I'm trying to, for one, I'm trying to keep track of everything that's happening with the change log here. You can see it's whoops. Not long lines, stupid Emacs. Toggle. Okay, there we go. But yeah, here's you see the 1.7.19 changes, and here we are so far on 1.7.20. Oops. So quite a bit of stuff to go through, but again, most of it is just kind of moving things around. Like it's a lot of prep work for 1.8. It'll definitely be a bit of work, but like I said, I'm hoping to make some tools to help people through that, and no behavior has really changed. It's mainly just renaming things. So I apologize. It'll be a bit of work. It's been a bit of work for me, but hopefully it won't be too bad.
By the way, speaking of updating, I think that's a good segue to that topic that I was having on my mind. Today I wanted to make like a separate like Bomb Squad game, or maybe some kind of mod pack or something, whatever. And I want to make sure that the game is as easy to update between versions as possible. For example, like small bug fixes and stuff, something that's easy to do. And I was thinking, if it's worth it to have like your own fork of Ballistica, and then basically make your edits to the code there, maybe without the assets, and assets have like in a different place. Is that going to be like fine for updating and stuff?
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things that I'm really excited to give a demo about once I can get it cleaned up. That's part of this. Let me do that. Truncate.
Because I definitely think people would be much less like mad about the updates if they could be like very easy to do. Like for example, just do pull, maybe do some configs, and that's it.
Yeah. So one of the things I'm doing as part of this is basically I'm kind of like breaking things apart into, I'm just calling them feature sets, where I have a little line about it here somewhere. This is not very... Okay, well, there's a bit about it here, but basically breaking the game apart into things called feature sets, which are just like chunks of it that can be enabled or disabled. And one of the So like basically the scene version 1, like all the existing gameplay code, that'll be one feature set. UI version 1 will be one feature set. But I'm also going to do a demo of just like adding your own feature set. So if you want to like, have your mod or something like that, like as a feature set, it'll be possible to basically do a separate GitHub repo, with just that feature set, and it'll kind of like, you can have it apply on top of like basic Bomb Squad, or the basic Ballistica engine. So that's, it's still, I'm kind of fleshing it out, but the idea is that hopefully we'd be able to use this to allow like making mods and things in a way that's a little bit more clean to update, to where like you just kind of update all the other stuff under it, and you don't have to like reapply all your changes. So I'll try to explain this more, or give it more of a demo in the next few weeks or whenever I finally drop this stuff. But that is something I'm thinking about, is like I'd love to not be causing so much pain whenever changes happen.
But as of today, if most of these bug fixes are like super small, or in stuff that most people wouldn't edit, is it going to be fine? Like if I do something like that early without the features?
Like so you're just saying if you like take your Ballistica and like fork it on GitHub and then just try to like maintain that in terms of like,
yeah. And then when I pull it, I would have the new Bomb Squad updates and stuff.
That's, I feel like I'm not a great Git person. I mean, that seems like it's something that's probably possible. In that case, you're going to be like pulling changes into something, like you'll have a file where maybe you're making edits there, but then you're also pulling upstream stuff into that file. Like, I'm sure it's possible. I'm just not sure how messy that'll be. It probably requires a little bit of Git foo.
And I would probably have to like learn about. I know what forking is. I just want to see if you can basically, if all of the changes done on the original branch is going to be pulled and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a good question.
It definitely does make maintenance much easier. Like
yeah.
All I have to do is basically deal with commits if they appear, like conflicts.
Oh yeah.
And they may be super rare if most of these are like in-engine stuff, like maybe some kind of wonky physics, or maybe some connectivity, or maybe some random UI stuff, or widget is aligned or something. Stuff that I wouldn't normally touch.
Yeah. So in general, merging things and stuff like that. Yeah, if the engine is changing, or the graphics part is changing, but your changes are all in gameplay or something, like usually merging that kind of stuff is not too much of a problem. It's more so just like, if there's changes in files that you're also changing, like that stuff is always trickier to merge. You have to get in there and do like the which line, like this line I want from my version, but this line I want from, that's always kind of a pain.
Alrighty.
But anyway, I feel like in general that's something that, at least I'm trying to think about it, and hopefully we're getting more tools in there to be able to do it better. This feature sets thing is just one part. The other thing I mentioned is app components, which I'll give a demo of that too, which is basically being able to like take a class in the game and then like overwrite it with your own version of that class, just so we can start like splitting out little things like this component can be replaced easily with your own, something like that. For the example I always use is like the chat window. So like if someone wants to make like a super pimped out awesome chat window, they can just like replace the stock one with theirs, and then it's something where they can do that in a plugin or something like that, where you don't have to like actually get in there and change the original files and have to worry about merging and stuff like that. So
and all of it just works.
just works. That those words are doing a lot of work in this case, but yeah, theoretically, at least I feel like that's our goal, is to move to a place where things like that just work, or at least hopefully just work. But yeah, there's different strategies, like you said, just doing it all in Git, and being smart about merging upstream stuff, or hopefully adding stuff to the engine to make stuff like that easier. That's kind of like, that's part of the whole reason I'm doing this whole refactoring is, it's kind of like the same problem I'm having is, like I can't make big enough changes without breaking gameplay for existing people, like physics changes and stuff like that. So that's the whole reason to want to like split off a gameplay version 2 or scene version 2, stuff like that. So it's all, it seems like everyone's kind of having the same concerns. Is like, we want to change stuff, but we don't want to, conflict with existing stuff or break existing stuff or have to merge all that. Let's see, ever considering soccer mode for Bomb Squad? I do think, like Sock showed that awesome soccer mode he's working on for his stuff last week. So like, there's been a lot, some people have made awesome soccer mini games. It'd be great to do like an official one also. So maybe that's something with like 1.8, or something in the near future with the asset download stuff. That'd be great to get an official soccer mode in there, like basketball and stuff that people have made awesome versions of it. But it'd be cool to just get official ones in there too.
The ball model I've been working on is, but mostly for this project, is kind of like a way to test out, texture projection painting and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. How's that going, by the way? That was very cool. The projector painting stuff.
So the ball is finally done, and I'm very proud of it, and Sock is proud of it too.
Cool.
And it's probably gonna be in the final version.
So nice. Looking forward to seeing 1.4 to 1.5 all over again. Yeah. This will be. This won't be as bad as 1.4 to 1.5 because that was going from Python 2 to Python 3, which is a lot of, there were a lot of kind of bigger changes, like strings being different, and I did more API changes there. But yeah, this will definitely be the biggest refactor since 1.5. So just to prepare you. Very cool. Looks good.
Yeah, when you click it, you can always definitely see more like where the clay texture is coming from and how I utilized it. I did explain it in one of the office hours messages.
Yeah.
So yeah, for those who want technical details, I can link to the message so people can just read it on their own time. Because I think that's something that more people should know. If they wanna supercharge the this is how it looks in game.
Nice.
Because GunSquad has post-processing, which makes everything brighter and more contrasty. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, a little bit of blooming and sharp. It does a bit of blooming and a bit of sharpening, and there's a few other just mucks with it a little bit.
So most of the texture I had to do was mostly make it dirtier and have it more contrast, so you can see the clay texture better, basically.
Yeah, I've had to kind of do that with my own stuff. Kind of up the contrast a bit. Does Bomb Squads come on Steam? So the Bomb Squad 2.0 will be out on Steam and iOS. That's the plan. So got a few more minor updates, major updates, I guess. 1.8 and then 1.9, and then we'll hit Steam and iOS once we're through those two. Yeah, I mean, we could revisit the post-processing and try to make it affect things less or something like that, but I feel like that happens a lot with games. I remember StarCraft 2, I was playing that 10 years ago or something, and basically turning on fancy graphics modes kind of it added a bit of blooming and kind of blows everything out a little bit. So it's things always look a little bit different without the fancy graphics stuff switched on. So yes, iOS will finally be here. It'd be cool to the projection stuff. If you have a system for that down, I don't know if you'd record a screen cap of doing that or something, just to kind of show people how it works.
Oh, actually, yeah, I can actually do that on my. Actually, I can do that right now. I have everything set up.
Cool. Yeah, just to kind of, I feel like if nothing else, maybe not even showing the exact details, just showing the concept of just hey, this is a photo and this is how I can project it because
Yeah, I can do that. I think.
Okay.
And I got that down so much that I can just do the screen cap. Okay, so hopefully Blender is showing.
So yes, this is part of the thing. Right now I'm a lot of the stuff is it's going back to BS. You can technically keep it as BA if you want. I'll show you what it's doing. Basically there are so it's stuff all the gameplay stuff is split out into BA scene v1. So you can also just use this if you want. It's just that's really long. And all the UI stuff is split out into BA UI v1. So for most, if we go to, I still haven't refactored the STD, but if we go to just Assault or something like that, most places, I'm just having them do this, import BA scene v1 as BS, but you could also do it as, you could do it as BA, but that's gonna, I can't change this. But BA still exists. I'm getting rid of BA in most of these, so you should really never have to use BA. So it's basically just, which is kind of the nice thing. There's a lot of cases where these old old files would have to import like BA and import, various other things. And now most everything you need is in like BA scene v1. But again, you can either just use that directly, or I'm just, using BS as a short name for Ballistica scene. And the UI stuff is similar, except that it's UI v1, and I am always importing that as just BUI. So I'll show you that too. Oh, whoops. Where would that be? Okay. Yeah, so this is like what a UI thing looks like. And then BUI has a lot of the same functions. So like button widget, all that stuff under BUI. Technically, it's under BAUI v1, but that's a lot to type. So again, I'll go into more detail on this stuff, but this is largely like the kind of changes you'll have to deal with. Is just instead of everything coming from BA, it's coming from like BAUI v1 or BA scene v1, and that's just splitting this stuff out into its own little boxes so that we can make new shinier boxes for doing things better and not break the old boxes. But it breaks everything for now. So once everything is unbroken, then we should be in a more stable, unbreakable state.
Actually, I wonder if there's a way I can showcase the workflow without pausing the entire stream. If there's a way to like watch the stream while also streaming. I don't know.
Oh, that is a good question. I mean, we can just switch over to you or like whatever. So you want to go to do like a live demo or?
Yeah, live demo.
Okay. Or actually, yeah, how would this work? What did we do last time for how to,
Actually, no, I'm not very used to it actually.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I can just stop streaming and then just start following you, but then everyone would have to do that also.
Yeah, that would be weird, huh?
Yeah, that would be weird. Well, maybe, I mean, if maybe you could just record one or something and post it and we could check it out after.
So you have this watch stream button at the top. I wonder if it's gonna like cancel your stream if you press it, or if it's gonna.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's gonna happen actually.
Let's find out. If everyone gets disconnected, just hop back in.
Yeah. Let's check it out.
Oh, okay. We look.
Oh, it works. Okay.
Okay.
So that's gonna make it way easier.
Yeah, that will make it way. Okay, sweet. All right, let me.
Okay, so here's the ball. Here's the texture, which is already done. But let's say I don't have it done. Let's say I wanna do something stupid. So I'm gonna first like cover this in white or something. That's not white paint. I want and I'm just gonna go fill and just do it. Just break my texture just so I can showcase it better. But here's the thing, I have the two UV maps, original, which is what's in game, and then there's project, which is something I'm gonna use to demonstrate it. As you can see, the texture is messed up, but that's no worries. Let's say I want to cover this hexagon in my texture, custom texture. I'm just gonna cover it like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go to UV and do project from view, which basically means, look, I have this like flower I selected on my texture. Now, I'm gonna go to one of my edited pictures I did, photos. So this is a hexagon that I modeled in clay, and then I edited it so it has like alpha and stuff, it's like around, and then I'm just gonna first fit it like very, very crudely for now. And then I'm gonna morph it so it fits better. It doesn't have to be perfect basically, but generally I'm just gonna do something like so the lines cover most of it. Like the texture definitely is like edited slightly, just so the hexagon is more of a hexagon and not like a blob.
Yeah.
And let's say I do something like this, and then whatever. I do this on the project UV, which is something that the game doesn't see. Now I'm gonna switch back to original, and normally that would be it. But let's say I come back to my texture painting. I'm gonna go to clone, which is like if you use Photoshop or GIMP, that's basically the clone tool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure that I see the flower. Okay. Now I'm gonna do clone from paint slot. I'm gonna select my photo that I just projected. You select my second UV, and I'm gonna paint it on the original. I selected the original, So let's see it.
Cool.
Whoa, magic. Of course, because I have the I don't have to be like super like precise with it, because sometimes when you do too much, like you see like stuff, edges, and that's of course a UV editing problem, but at the same time, so I can use that, basically imprint this photo from the left to my texture here.
Yeah.
So you can see there's this photo which is like messed up and curved, which is basically like my original
Yeah, because
UV,
it's kind
which
of
is like
squished
super weird
into
and stuff.
a weird place. Yeah.
That's how I do it, and I think that's you can use that for characters too. You could make a character like in clay, make photos like classic Bomb Squad characters from front, back, and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you can basically use this projection method to like at least give the characters a bit more believability.
Yeah.
And with that, maybe paint them normal first, like normal painting method. Do whatever UV you want, and then once it's all done, you can use the texture projection method to like give it some more like life and character. And of course, you can still make it so the seams are not as visible, so you can still make it look convincing. And I think that's why this this thing is actually super good, because not only you can just make better UVs to cover like more ground, because I think that was the biggest like issue with textures in Bomb Squad. Like a lot of space sometimes is very wasted, even though you see textures in model games, other games, and then it's like all of this square is utilized, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's because they have the ability to do like custom UVs and stuff. But here we can actually do that from now. We can just do whatever UVs we want. So there's like all of the spaces used. We can still go for the photorealistic graphics that we want to go for.
Yeah, that does seem like the ideal. Yeah, a lot of times you mentioned like some of the Bomb Squad texture maps are not very efficient. Like I've started getting a bit lazy where it's just like I want to like have a large chunk of a photo in there and then like a few large chunks of a photo, and then yeah, it's not taking the best advantage of like filling that map space. But this does seem kind of like the best of both worlds, where like you're able to kind of use photos in the way that I like to be able to use them, just like projecting them onto your mesh.
Yeah, and after I learned that technique, I think it's very fun and very creative. So it's not even that painful to do. I mean, the only painful thing for me was that there was like lots of hexagons and pentagons I wanted to fill with the texture. So of course it took a bit of a toll, but for characters or something more organic, I think that's gonna be perfect.
Yeah, yeah, I would imagine. I mean, that does seem like in my mind that's like the mental workflow I would want to have too, is just like have a few photos and just kind of like have a model and just like project part of that photo on part of the model and then rotate it and project part of another photo on it, just kind of like taking real life and projecting it on there. Um,
So I guess for some new characters or Wolfcut, I think it's gonna be time to learn Blender.
yes, I do need to learn Blender, and I should cancel my Maya subscription. Though I'm hesitant to do that if there's any still chance that I need to access my old stuff, but I probably need to. I can like for 1.8 with asset packs and stuff. I'm gonna need to convert those to some neutral format anyway. So maybe it would be a good time
to. They
to.
can add on like unofficial add-on.
Yeah.
For Bob and Bob, so it works.
Yeah, well, the average normal people shouldn't have to mess with Bob and Cobb files directly anymore, but there will be something like there'll have to be some sort of intermediate for whatever we upload to the cloud stuff, which I was thinking will just be like JSON data or something simple like that. I could look into, we could use a standard format or something. It's just like the reason I kind of stay away from that stuff is because a lot of times those support so many features that I don't like my loader, just I want like bare minimum stuff, like hey, I need a list of triangles, whereas like FBX and all this stuff, they have like all these like instancing and all this stuff. It's like I don't want to have to deal with that.
So ideally, in the far future, it would be possible, for example, for people to only work on OBJ or GLTF files, for example.
Yeah,
and
I mean
have them converted.
Yeah, maybe OBJ. Like right now, internally, my internal pipeline uses OBJ, but it's very particular about like which OBJ files it will take. Like if you have any quads or something, it requires them to be like a single mesh with only triangles, or it has very like specific requirements that I'm able to meet because I know what they are. But
there are lots of flavors of OBJ.
Yeah, that's kind of like that's why I was saying like I wonder if. Or I was thinking of maybe for the cloud pipeline stuff, if it just takes basically JSON data, like very, very simple, like, hey, this is your list of triangles. and then we could write like a converter from OBJ or something, or just an exporter from Blender that would just spit out triangles into that JSON file. Or I'm just trying to think of like the easiest, most safe way to get data out of things like Blender and into like the cloud tool, without having to worry about like, oh, you have to write your OBJ using only this particular thing and make sure you only have triangles and only one mesh, and
Yeah, hopefully it can either be done like automatically, or have like very simple way of like not screwing it up when you're doing your own models or stuff like that.
Yeah. So
maybe I think they're doing it automatically, like automatic triangulation. Blender already does that, so hopefully a simple script can be done or something. I don't know how the Blender works, what's the license, that kind of stuff. So
yeah, so we can cross that bridge when we get to it, I guess, to a degree.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm largely leaning towards, like I said, just having the asset pipeline, the cloud asset pipeline, basically just take exactly the data that it needs. Like I said, like a JSON file or something with with a list of points and triangles and things, where it's like there's no question about like what you need to give it. It's just then we'd have to write a converter or something like that, or an exporter.
Yeah. I mean, it depends what's going to be easier for the end user. If they want to export it like their typical like model files they used to, or is it better to like install an add-on and then export using a proprietary like we do right now? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good question, because there's pluses and minuses to both ways. Because if we support the things they're used to, then the problem, like I mentioned, is those things they're used to might have options that we don't support or something. So like, is that going to bite them more than it would be painful to use a custom exporter or something?
At least if you're using a game engine, the game engine developers definitely have to support like most of the normal like types. Generally, GLTF is gaining a lot of traction, but back in the day, you had to use like, even now, like FBX and stuff. FBX is like standard, but it's like, I think it's Autodesk's like proprietary.
Yeah.
There's like free variants of FBX, but it doesn't always work. But basically, yeah, GLTF is like the best open free like alternative to that.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah,
it's basically like a more modern OBJ or Collada or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that could be worth looking into. So maybe if that's not too difficult, maybe the cloud tool would support that directly.
For the file extension, and you could basically make a converter for it.
Yeah. So yeah, well, I definitely want to do something like character workflow plugin, or like a model building plugin once the model build pipeline is once the modern model build pipeline is in place, the cloud-based one. Because it'd be interesting to show you my old Maya one. Just I know I've mentioned this before for like historical purposes, but that's definitely historical only. Like I will not be further developing the Maya pipeline. I mean, people could use Maya if they want. If we're using GLTF or have a common interface format, feel free to use whatever 3D program you want. But
you reminded me, that's one of the main advantages of having like an extension that's universal across multiple like 3D objects. That you could basically like use whatever you want. Just make a model, have it have a UV, and that's it.
Yeah, that's true.
And the rest is taken care of like on the side of the uploading the model itself.
Yeah. So maybe if we use some common thing like GLTF, and we're just careful about, I mean, hopefully there's not, or careful about like clearly listing the requirements or something. Like if you upload a GLTF file with like 10 objects in it and they have weird name, or like giving clear errors about like, oh, this contains too many objects, or like we need one mesh with one set of UVs, or
Oh yeah. If we cannot convert, we can at least let the user know.
Yeah, just something. Yeah, like clean errors, if nothing else. That's another thing with my pipeline right now, is I think it just like fails silently or something, or maybe it hopefully not silently, but I think that's the danger of having a pipeline where it like makes expectations, but then it doesn't complain or it doesn't error if those expectations aren't met, because then people are gonna like give it data that doesn't meet those expectations and get like garbage out the other end. Like, why did this happen?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right, let's me catch up here on the backlog of stuff. BA plus. If you're seeing BA plus, that used to be BA internal. That's simply the new name for the the closed source parts, like the parts that talk directly to the master server and all that. So I wanted to give it a name that's not internal because I feel like I'm using the term internal all over the place. And so it felt like an overloaded term. So BA Plus is now just like the plus add-ons for, accounts and stuff like that. And in a lot of cases, you'll be able to build or run the game, or at least, we'll see. To some degree, you'll be able to use the engine or compile a version of it that doesn't have the plus stuff included. It just means like it won't have account functionality and things like that. But if you're doing, fun little total conversions or spin-off games or things like that, like I definitely want that to be possible, is like to just play around without having to have the plus binaries. And so yes, BS is actually making a comeback, but like I said, it's optional. You can use whatever term you want, or the full one, BAC and V1. What? Okay, I think we're largely caught up. Roadmap. Okay, I think we're caught up. BS internal.py.
This is like an ancient meme, like back from 1.4 times.
Yeah, I was initially kind of bummed because I thought it was funny just having BS as a prefix for everything, because in English BS is, if you're not familiar, just slang for bullshit. But so it's just like import BS is just kind of funny. But I also wanted to, for when 1.5 rolled around, I wanted to change everything to not be too Bomb Squad specific, just because I wanted to have the engine to be able to make other games or just other apps or things like that. So that's kind of where the Ballistica name came from, and also then where the BA kind of rename came from. But now going back to, like, BS is not actually short for Bomb Squad in this case. It's short for Ballistica Scene. So I'm justified in saying BS again for the is because it's just shortening, like import BA Scene V1 as BS. So it's just shortening this word. But it's a good excuse to be able to use BS again and feel good about it.
Oh yeah.
But again, if it makes it easier for anyone to just keep using, import it as BA, but that might be confusing because there still is a BA package also. Okay, what is this? Any planned feature about automatically download mod?
It's actually 1.7.
Wait, what was 1.7?
No, 1.7.1.8. Sorry.
Oh yeah. This is kind of the main, or I'd say one of the two main features for 1.8 is auto downloaded stuff. So all this we've been talking about, like asset packages and things like that. The idea is you'll build stuff in like a cloud system. So you come here. There is a thing called asset packages. It doesn't, it's turned off at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, at some point you'll come here. You'll be able to basically drag in files and kind of set up asset packs under here, and then anytime you connect to a server that uses those asset packs, it'll just like download the right version for your version of the game. So you don't have to worry about like compiling particular textures if you want to run on PC and other particular textures if you want to run on Android or whatever. Currently, there's actually a third type of texture for the iOS version, but I will be unifying iOS and Android to use the same texture formats, ASTC. Right now, Android uses ETC2 and ETC3, I believe.
Oh yeah, I remember people were really asking me about texture codecs and stuff like that, and I had to basically spell them out directly, because this is definitely something that isn't documented too, something you basically have to figure out yourself.
Oh yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't really. I was kind of surprised. I didn't expect people to go to the level they have in terms of adding custom assets and things like that, and reverse engineering the Bob file format and stuff like that. Yeah. So I definitely didn't document that stuff, but life finds a way. People made it happen.
When it comes to textures, I think I had lots of pain trying to research that, but I did at one point find a way. I basically even found a tool that allows you to convert PNG files to KTX files for work with Android. So.
Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, I imagine that will change probably before 1.8. Is I do need to, or maybe after 1.8, but maybe before, is I do want to switch Android to use ASTC, which is it sounds like a way better format. It's also supported on iOS, so that'll simplify things there. It has a lot more options too in terms of quality, so you can make like better trade-offs in terms of like a better quality texture or a smaller texture. So that'll be hopefully useful.
This DSS is like a very run-of-the-mill, like standard gamey stuff.
What is?
The texture, the DDS format.
Oh yeah, the ones being used on currently the desktop platforms, basically Mac, Linux, and Windows. Yeah, that's kind of standard. That format's been around for a long time. There's actually newer ones like DTS, or I forgot the name, like something 6, 7, like. But I've not been able to find good like open source encoders for those, or I've not been able to like get that incorporated into the pipeline yet. So we're still using like slightly older texture formats for the desktop PC and stuff. But that's a good thing with this asset package stuff is there will be different like flavors of builds, so there'd be like the mobile build and desktop build or whatever. And if we at some point incorporate like the newer, fancier PC texture compression, then we can just have like a desktop 2 texture type or asset type or something, and switch everything over. So in the same way, we can do like a high res flavor or something like that if we want. If you want to flip a switch and have all your textures be larger. So it'll open up some fun possibilities, but basically not having to worry about specific exact formats that need to go for to specific platforms.
Yeah, so for those who want like a more technical like stuff about textures, I posted how the DDS export plugin by NVIDIA.
Oh yeah,
What
cool.
what options to use?
Yeah. So yeah, this stuff is it's interesting. Yeah, we are using in the game DXT5. I'm trying to remember. There might be some DXT3 or 1 in there. I don't remember for sure, but 5 is definitely used a lot.
If you use the wrong codec, you basically get an error across your face, or then the texture doesn't look good, or an alpha texture is like eaten and stuff.
Yeah, one of these, the 1-bit alpha, like this one's kind of interesting. DXT1,
it's like alpha 0 or alpha 1 and no grayscale.
Yeah, exactly.
So you either have alpha or you don't.
Yeah, which I don't think there's any textures in Bomb Squad that are designed like that. I mean, all the ones that have alpha, it's usually kind of anti-aliased edges, so like we have a lot of like gray values. It's not just all black and white.
Maybe some UI stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, like that sort of thing. I think for like a lot of times you see billboard textures in games that have like a sharp edge where it's all like it's either there or it's not there, so it would work well for things like that. But that's not actually something Bomb Squad really does, like the way it draws.
But even in those games, these textures are like grayscale because they use like signed distance fields to like have them like have the alpha feel like it has more resolution than it does in reality. It's a very cool trick.
Yeah, which that actually leads into like that same trick or a very similar trick. Valve wrote a paper about it a long time ago for doing text.
Oh yeah, this one. Yeah,
that's
the same thing.
Yeah, basically the same thing. I have it bookmarked somewhere. Where is that? I would love to implement that. That would be super cool. But I wrote it down somewhere. I have some
like standard font stuff, and nothing. Maybe Hobo could use it, but we mostly use bitmaps and stuff like that for textures in terms of like fonts and stuff, letters.
Yeah. Yeah. Right now, I mean, like, I think it would be handy for like the large font we have in Bomb Squad. Those are like decently big textures to where like we'd maybe be able to get away with slightly smaller ones, or possibly 2 textures where you have like a lower res texture for like the outline, and then like maybe a higher res kind of like clay texture overlay that gets repeated, or I don't know. There'd be different options we could try. Like, what are we talking about? Nerding out about texture formats. Hooray!
Yes, and techniques to like be like super efficient and stuff.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it. Valve texture, like font texture.
I think it's called like distance fields. Type of distance fields would be it. Maybe it's this. Wait, well, let me see.
Yeah, this is the one I'm thinking of, where it's like there's an alpha
Oh
blended
yeah, it's this
texture.
one. Yeah, I think Unreal does this too, with the its texture like actor. It's the same
Yeah,
thing.
I would imagine. I mean,
It's like
this seems like it
blobby.
looks really good because yeah, it's like this is basically what we do right now. It's just like pure kind of alpha channel stuff. So you need a high res
Yeah,
texture to make it look good. This is alpha
so
testing,
low
so it's
tech.
a little bit better. This is like all or nothing, but it's a little wavy on the edges. But then yeah, here's the fancy sign distance stuff where it's like it looks. The only downside is like the corners are a little smooth. Like you can't get super sharp corners, but
Yeah, it is.
who cares?
For fonts, it's perfect.
Yeah, I feel like fonts usually kind of have smooth corners anyway. So, but yeah, that looks like so much better than like that. So that would be,
We are still in Neanderthal times.
yeah, we're living in like 2004 or when was this? Oh yeah, or when's this paper from? I don't know when this paper's from.
Actually, I didn't read it. I just thought it was cool, and I still understood it.
Yeah, yeah, it's neat to see. Like this is what a distance field is. It's we use these a lot. Like at Pixar, this gets used for visual effects a lot. Like a lot of things are stored as sign distance field, even like 3D. So you have like 3D sign distance fields for like
Oh yeah,
representing 3D shapes.
in gaming there's like noise textures that also have this applied, and you can do lots of stuff. Like even Nintendo used it back in the Wii era and GameCube era, so you can have like super sharp like specular maps on water and stuff, and still use like a super low res texture, even though, and it
Yeah,
still looks good, even if you upscale it.
yeah. But it's neat
So
how it
for
works
those who
though.
don't know how it, so those who don't know how it works, it's basically you have a shader which basically takes the grayscale, and then you can tell it which basically if to show the alpha or doesn't show alpha. So you can basically pick which color has to be like how bright it has to be for it to appear. So you can basically, if you play around with that threshold, basically you can have like a text that's growing and then shrinking, and then you basically can decide like where the edges basically are.
Yeah. And so this shows an example of it. Like this grayscale value, the gray basically black means I'm very far from an edge, and gray like the
Yeah.
lighter gray means like I am very close to an edge. So the texture basically just shows you like at any point like how far are you from the edge, and then when
Oh yeah,
you
that's a good way to put it, like an MRI machine, kind of.
yeah, and so then when your shader like clips that at some value, you get something like this, which is like nice and sharp. So you can see it's
Yeah.
a very low res texture, but you get nice values out of it.
Yeah.
Or I guess this is a high res input, but
Yeah.
I'm curious like I'd be curious to see the results from this, like if
Yeah.
that's
I don't
that.
know if they talk about it. No, this is the version of, yeah,
I
in
mean
the game.
that's it in the game. I'm just curious. It says like this is 64 by 64, so I'm curious like what the shader output would look like at 64 by 64. It's saying this is the input, so this is who knows what. Oh yeah, this is 4096 by 4096.
Yeah, I haven't read the paper, but I think they basically show how they actually generate one, generate the distance field or something like that. But I
Yeah.
didn't read it, so
Oh yeah, I think they talk about that. It's probably you could do it in
representation
Python
generator, that's
pretty
the third, like,
like it's probably like you could do a simple little image filter or something. I mean, you could calculate. Yeah, that's a good question actually. What is the most efficient way to generate a signed distance field? I'm sure it's. I mean,
I remember doing like a very simple effect, like I did like a, how do I describe it? Like imagine like a radial like progress bar, which is like a circle,
uh-huh.
that disappears like a clock, like a clockwise motion basically. And I use the gradient for that. I read the gradient, and I remember doing something very similar, and I basically used Gaussian blur on the very sharp edge like pattern. And that was enough, Gaussian blur basically.
Oh yeah,
And then
interesting.
using levels to like have it from pure white to pure black.
Yeah, that probably gets like a decently close approximation because if you look at this, it does almost kind of look like a Gaussian blur, even though it's
Yeah.
this one's
Or
probably
square.
yeah. Um, so you can probably do it in like a more exact mathematical way or something, but yeah, Gaussian blur probably gets you decently close. But
Yeah.
but yeah, the neat thing is once I just read this. It turns out this is so this is 64 by 64 distance field. So the one that they're showing here is 128 by 128. So it's a little bit higher, but you can see it's looks pretty good still. That's a low res
Yeah.
image of it, but
Low res image, and the decal is and the decal is definitely like lower resolution too. It's not like a huge sign or anything.
yeah. But yeah, this is 256 by 256, and it's really sharp edges. Like a regular 256 by 256 texture would look super blurry this close.
It kind of looks like someone is using like a Posca marker, like that's like very like intense, and then you have this like watery kind of blobby feel to whatever they
Oh yeah,
the
yeah,
others have, something like that.
yeah. But yeah, then the neat thing is, as you were mentioning, you can use filters and stuff like that because you have this whole like just blurry range, so you can take like a section of that and do things like outlining or in this case, an outline or like a blur, like a glow outside of it. So there's lots of
Oh, they used an outer glow shader to make it.
yeah, or like drop shadows. So there's lots of cool tricks you can do with it. So this would be super fun to I don't know get in the game or getting the engine as like a tool to be able to use. So
Yeah.
anyway,
But this is like probably the most nerdy we're probably gonna be ever on the stream.
yeah, we apologize if anyone's here like asking like, I want new character skins and like let's talk about some nerdy edge shader stuff.
Yeah.
So cat pictures have come out. We bored people.
Pictures and reaction images. Yeah.
We bored people enough that we're getting cat photos.
Okay.
Cool, looking good.
I did animation like years ago. Maybe I should come back to it.
Yeah, I did a little bit of like 2D animation back in art school way back in the day, but it's been a long time. It's kind of fun. We're getting too technical. Uh-oh. That was a long time ago. We went past the point of no return.
Yeah.
Mer? I feel good. Oh no. Oh, the internet. Oh, I have a new coffee cup today. It's very exciting. It's on this side. Here Comes Trouble. This was, if anyone's seen Toy Story of Terror, it's like a Halloween short from Pixar. It was like the last thing I worked on before I left, but this is like a prop from that. Like the main character has this like giant Here Comes Trouble coffee mug. So the crew, we all got Here Comes Trouble mugs. So this was in the back of my my cabinet. I totally forgot that I had it, but it's enormous, so it holds enough coffee for like half the day. Very exciting though. But yeah, not to nerd out too much about like signed distance fields, but it does make me wonder. I'm setting up the cloud asset pipeline, which is basically just kind of like a build pipeline for standard assets. So it's just like you give it a sound file and it'll give you the encoded compressed output. Like that'll be the asset that the game downloads or something. But it does make me wonder, like we could add different asset types or kind of like different little asset pipelines for, like signed distance field textures or, something where it could run some sort of like processing for you and, you give it an image and it gives you some sort of, associated asset thing that you could use in the game. Like even if we do something crazy with it, like converting it, like I said, like to a signed distance field or something like that. It just makes me wonder, or like meshes, it could automatically run, I don't know, like an ambient occlusion bake or something like that. It makes me wonder, like what would be like fun asset pipeline stuff to just have happen automatically? Like, would there be any?
Actually, ambient occlusion is something that actually sounds like it could work, especially for map and character files, because they're organic. That's one, and two. A lot of the stuff I do in textures is actually a fake ambient occlusion anyway, so
Yeah.
that's what make it automatic.
Yeah, so
I
that's
still want to have some like artistic control over it. So I don't know if they want to use it, and I wonder how easy it would be to code, because it definitely is exciting. I wonder how many people would actually use them.
Yeah, that is a good question. And part of me, it goes into the question of, I still want to try to make maps and things that I make out of clay and, do it kind of the hard way or whatever. And then, if you do it that way and if everything is purely modeled the same as it's on screen, you get real ambient occlusion. So it's kind of like, for that particular pipeline, we wouldn't need ambient occlusion. But if someone's, building something from scratch in Blender or whatever, like it could be nice to bake in some occlusion for them or something.
I mean, if you're good enough to use Blender and make like fully like pre-rendered, almost real like clay models, then I think you can do ambient occlusion too, baking.
That is true. Yeah, that's a good point. But it might be more for people who are like maybe just playing around and
Or maybe
just
they just want like an easy way to like beautify their map or something like that.
yeah, exactly. Maybe it could just be like a checkbox. If you're
Yeah,
as
why
you're
not? It definitely sounds like something that could benefit me too, even though I might probably go for a proper solution in a more final stages of development or something. Oh, actually, one thing, speaking of development, I think one thing that I think could work for the map really well is development textures.
oh yeah, just something like
Development
showing
textures
like
generator or something like that. So, for example, imagine you make a map
mhm,
and you want it textured and you want to see it in game as soon as possible. So then the game basically takes where's the front of the mesh, where's the back from the mesh, where's the side, where's the front, and then basically how high is this? And you can basically use a depth texture that basically represents ramps or
yeah,
represents sides. So even though you don't have lighting, you can still like move around it and still judge distance and stuff. That's what I
yeah,
did when I was doing my maps. Make like a depth texture, which is basically different shades of green and then gradients that signify the vertical like locations.
yeah, yeah. That would be definitely helpful. I feel like I do the exact same thing. Like when I'm starting a new map or something, it's like I can't tell anything. Like what it just looks like a flat gray covering the screen. So yeah, you just need some sort of color to be able to kind of make sense of things.
Not just color, but shades.
Or yeah, shades, lines, like various, yeah, a grid even or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, that could be a good option, or just an option in the shader or something, or yeah, just it'll be fun to
One
like play
thing,
with the pipeline. Like I definitely want to like here's that term again, dog food. I definitely want to like use this myself and see like oh well, like what do I want out of this if I'm starting from scratch making a map. Like oh I want to be able to flip it into development mode and see yeah like grids on
yeah,
top automatically.
I definitely wanna see one thing. If I could like use the Blender's like built-in UV mesh export,
Hmm.
like to texture feature, and then use it for depth textures and see how it's gonna look in game. If it's gonna help with like differentiation between edges and stuff.
Oh yeah, that would be interesting. I know I've done that before in Maya or something where like I took a screenshot of basically the wireframe from like the UV view in Maya and like used that as a texture just because it would like give me
Oh,
nice lines on my polygon edges.
actually, that does actually look sound nicer, especially with like Maya shading, applying everything to the model
So
or something like that.
I forgot when I did that though. But yeah, like pipeline stuff, it does sound fun. So I'm excited to kind of get into that. I technically have the pipeline up and running, like the cloud builds are working, so I can feed it like a JSON file, and it'll send out cloud machines to build the textures and whatever. And so like that part's all working. It's just a matter of kind of making the web front end to that and making it giving it more better options and stuff. Um,
I mean, anything that makes modeling easier is probably gonna encourage people to like try it out.
yeah, yeah, and again, this is something where I want to build it so that I can use it for all my stuff. So I feel like that's a good way to work because I get annoyed if things don't work well. So hopefully I'll make it
And
work
it's
good.
gonna speed up your workflow too, so that's doubly useful.
Yeah, but I had a lot of fun when I was working with my friends for a few years. I was sort of like splitting my time. I was working on Bomb Squad, but also working on the zombie gunship stuff.
Hmm.
Um, so I kind of was writing the graphics engine for them because they were using a custom engine too. Oh no, my internet seems to have crapped
If
out.
I remember correctly, that's like an AR game or something like that.
There's a few different ones. There's Zombie Gunship Survival, which is it's like a base building game, and then we did the AR version, which is Zombie Gunship Revenant, I think, and that was the AR game. They were both fun in their own way, but um, if my internet decides to come back, I will. Which is so weird because I'm using the internet right now. So stupid,
Yeah.
stupid thing.
Let's assume, I don't know, Google or whatever the search engine is. It's
It's
kind of
there's some issue. I'm curious. I don't know if it's something on my network or some like driver bug with my particular Mac or something, but it gets into the state sometimes where like basically existing connections or low level connections still work, but if I try to do anything high level, like connect to a website or go to About This Mac on my computer, it will get stuck. See, it's not bringing up the window now. So after a few minutes, it gets like unstuck. Um, but I've been like submitting bug reports to Apple and this and that, and trying to debug things.
I
But
think I found the link.
oh yeah, cool. So yeah, that is it. If I click on this, it will also get stuck. But anyway, if you want to check this out, like there's like two modes to it. There's like the FLIR, like the shader version for when you're flying around shooting the zombies, that was a lot of fun, like writing the shader for that to try to make it look like, military infrared vision stuff. But there's also just like the standard base view where you're going around your base and like building stuff. And for that one, it's all like I set up this big pipeline in Maya where it would basically like bake out occlusion, bake out lighting, like bake out all this stuff. It was a pretty cool pipeline. I had a lot of fun with it. But it worked pretty well, and then we like bake out little like fake shadow planes and things like that for all the buildings. So everything looks like the lighting. I feel like it looks like decently detailed, realistic lighting, but it's all just like baked into textures and stuff. But it was really fun to like set that pipeline up. So that makes me wonder if that sort of thing, like setting up a pipeline like that, would be useful for people.
It's actually this like workflow with working with maps that actually encouraged me to try out this technique where I tried, the pre-render technique where I basically just try to draw them up from scratch basically and make it feel real and like artistic.
Yeah.
All the games did it, like when they made 3D models, so they had to do pre-rendered backgrounds and stuff.
Yeah.
And after they pre-rendered it, they could like pimp it out with like textures and details that are not necessarily realistic, but they feel real.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's one app that I constantly bring up as an example, but that's because I'm just so proud of it. I'm just gonna be real. I'm so proud of it. Let me find it. Of course, it's not like actual, like it doesn't look like Bomb Squad because it doesn't aim to be Bomb Squad, but that's kind of like one way to you could try using this like technique. Lots of filters, lots of stuff that make it like it's like a wet map. Okay, let me see. I've talked about this map a lot of times on my server. Now I gotta just find when that time is the time that I actually posted the picture. Okay, this could be it. It's not perfect, but that will do. Alrighty.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, very cool.
I just did extremely basic textures, just make it, and then I basically added lots of grind, the textures that I couldn't do easily in Blender and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if I talked about this project alone, people wouldn't shut up about it, and I probably wouldn't sleep. So, okay, the cat's already out of the bag. Sok is already like pestering me about it. Maybe one day I'm gonna show it off, like the unfinished 1.4 version, because oh man.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
People know what this is. People already know what this is.
GunSquad. I feel like that's totally fun too, though. Is just like kind of building things from scratch, like with raw textures and just trying to make it look realistic and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's supposed to be like a dank alleyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Like wet, there's rain and stuff.
Yeah, so you got the ground reflection turned on. It looks like.
Yeah, the ground reflection turned on. I also got like the fake fog using overlay models, and I use the same technique for like rain puddle splashes and stuff.
Cool.
So every trick in the book is used.
Nice.
Maybe on the next like session, I could show off the game. Unless, how much time do we have actually?
Oh, on this one, I mean, I'll try to wrap up sometime before the next hour, so we have about 15 to 45 minutes.
15 to 45. Actually, I could show off the game actually right now.
Okay, go for it.
Just them, maybe how it looks and stuff. So people, because I do show some people like every half a year or so.
Cool.
But having this in like a video form, I think is probably gonna get people interested in
Yeah,
the game.
yeah.
So I think that's probably gonna be one way to motivate me to like.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, for those who don't know, this is good. This is a project I've been working on for like a couple of years. It's laying dormant without. Oh, Sok, I'm sorry. I'm nostalgic for this too, but yeah, just hold on, just hold on, okay?
Okay.
Just
Oh, cool. My internet.
take a couple of deep breaths because this is something. Okay, it's called this and this. Okay, so those who already know, like seen the chat, this mod is called GunSquad, and it turns Bomb Squad into like instead of like a party game, which is like full of bombs and stuff, it's turned into like a party arena shooter, Sonda. So it's basically yeah. I'm just gonna show it. I just gotta load the map, and then just do the stream like always. Okay, first map, second map. Which I don't know. Yeah, I guess I have to. Yeah, because generally when I work on stuff like this, I still have like lots of maps. One of them is like fully finished in terms of graphics, which is the alleyway map. There's a second map which Suck worked on, and there's lots of like development textures maps. So I might as well just show the one that's the most finished, and I think the one that's gonna not gonna change probably from release to now.
Cool.
Okay. Okay, and now I'm gonna try starting the stream. Hopefully it's gonna work. And also there's gonna be sound, hopefully. Because I think sound is very important.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Hopefully.
does it work?
We will see. Yeah, I'm hearing some sound coming through.
So yeah,
Maybe your
okay,
microphone.
I'm gonna increase the volume. So the game is gonna be the lobby that looks normal. Because the only thing that was changed is actually in-game stuff. So might as well. Okay, so the first thing you probably notice is that I'm running. And this
Cool.
isn't my full running speed. It's like I'm slower. Now you see the new buttons. I can jump like normal. But I also have the punch button, which is a shot button. I can move slowly if I wanna aim forward. I can run and gun. I can pick up a new gun. And I can use the top button to switch between my two slots. So I have
that's
the
awesome.
standard pistol. And I have the rifle. I'm gonna wait for the the Spaz 12 with the Z.
Oh, nice.
And of course, there's also grenades. Everybody has two. So it's like bombs in Bomb Squad, but they're much stronger. You can flash people out of cover. I can, for example, throw it like this.
Yeah.
There's also headshots in this game. Okay, I'm gonna show some gore.
I love it.
Sorry, I'm sorry. That was too funny.
Oh.
Okay, let's see.
Oh, it's like the Quake 3 sounding headshot. That's awesome.
Yeah. And of course there's the... Oh, by the way, I decided to implement stuff that's like... Okay, now, the thing that I definitely wanted to implement is different character classes, which basically means every character has its own playstyle.
Okay.
I'm gonna quickly cover it. Spaz is normal, like doesn't have a lot of changes. So I'm gonna switch to other characters now. Kronk is more complex. Okay, I'm gonna start with Zoe. Zoe has regular like Bomb Squad speed.
Okay.
So I can just run around. But I have way less health. I think it just takes like bullets. Yeah. Oh, there's the railgun. I could have shown that. Revolver. Yeah, Agent has like very accurate shots. I mean, there's still stuff like auto aim that I had to implement for a game to feel more playable.
Mm-hmm.
The bullets are like slightly magnetic. Sometimes you can see it, sometimes you can't. It's like very subtle.
So they like hone in on the bad guys, or?
Yeah, the bullets basically have like magnets. If they see like players somewhere, they try to like steer.
Cool.
themselves towards the player. But it's very subtle, and it works mostly like new. That's because because it's entirely physics based. I missed it. You cannot basically shoot forward because now I don't hold my stick and I'm slowly drifting, as you can see.
Oh,
I
interesting.
have
Yeah.
to hold like left if I wanna keep shooting forward.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Let's show the most interesting characters now.
I love how violent it is to leave the game. Like, that's awesome.
Oh, by the way, every character is like edgified, so they look way more like gangsta. They're like,
Nice. The glasses.
yeah, this is the older version of GunSquad. I cannot zoom. I have to.
Oh, that's like exploiting a zoom bug.
And to make it look like it's like better, I had to turn every single gun model to make it black. But there is one exception. The railgun is basically replaced boxing gloves, so I could use stuff like the flashing. That's in engine, so I had to make a justification as to why it glows.
Oh,
I just
interesting.
make it a power weapon.
Yeah.
What does the railgun do? Well, it does what it says on the tin. Let me just shoot it. So the game is basically already very fun, and I played it with only a couple of people. It's gory, it's brutal, and I love it.
Yeah, I love that the gore is like over the top.
Yeah, so that
Super
Jack
cool.
shoots extra fast. Oh, let me do the shotgun. I'm gonna show something with the shotgun. So I decided to implement some like very easy, like hopefully you can see it.
Oh, like multiple
Very
shots.
simple, but it works. Basically, when he shoots both shotguns, he cocks them.
That's
But that's
awesome.
just 2 models. It's 2 frames.
Oh, it works though. That's all you need. That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, now.
I saw you had like bloody versions of the characters. Like, did you just do like a few different maps and then switch between them, or like what is that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I should show that probably.
Okay.
Because Jack is like, yeah. There's like every character has the healthy version and the low health version, and they switch between them. It's basically a texture, so it's not a big deal.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna shoot Jack so you can see him better. Okay.
Oh yeah.
In the older versions, I think. Oh, it's not this. It's not this model. It's another. No. It's that. Yeah. There it is. Let's just get him in the frame. There it is. Okay. He has the Squirtle glasses. Okay. And they're broken a bit. And also made it so when they fall down, another bullet basically decapitates them. It's basically shatter.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
Now, coming back to the characters, now the most interesting ones. Ninja starts with a knife instead of a pistol. So it's basically punching, except it doesn't have like speed mechanics, so it always deals the same amount of damage. So that's
I just
fast.
the over the top gore is so funny. It's just like so much stuff flying. That's awesome.
Yeah. Now, Ninja has like the downside, he gets less ammo from guns. The idea is he's gonna be faster than most. He can go out and about, but he's mostly like about fighting that close.
Yeah.
Just to get guns, constantly change positions.
Cool.
The opposite though is Krog. One sec. Okay. He starts with a knife, which is normally fine, except he's super slow. But he gets like double almost ammo. For example, here he has 9, but Spaz gets 6. So this guy is more like staying on one place and getting issues.
Okay.
And he has 3 grenades too. So he doesn't have any way to defend himself if he's caught without supplies. So that's his like gimmick.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Also, there's okay. I'm gonna show B9000 because I think. One sec. I gotta get my apple.
Some nice ambient thunder. I love the little like raindrop effects here.
Okay, B9000. So even though I had lots of stuff to do, lots of details, I still decided to add something like this.
Oh, nice. Like green blood.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Because of course he's a robot, so he has to have them.
Yeah.
Oh, and the last character, which I think is the most interesting, Sock made the model for it, is basically this guy. That's Mel, except from Mad Max, I think.
Yeah, I love
Let's
it.
say. So
It's like
it definitely
steampunk
might
Mel.
have got some changes in the final release because I think he's kind of complex. His gimmick is he starts with a knife. Okay, that's a thing, but he's the weakest character in the entire game, right?
Yeah.
He moves slow. He has low damage and stuff, but he has one gimmick. Actually, two gimmicks. So yeah, he gets healed after every kill he does.
Oh, nice, nice.
One complication is, which I'm probably gonna remove, is that he gets more health the gorier the kill is. Normal gunshots, it's like level 1. Knife kill is level 2, and gibbing with grenades, revolvers, and railguns is like level 3. So that's almost full heal. I'm probably gonna get rid of this because it doesn't really. It's hard to communicate and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna wonder. Like, if that would be confusing a little bit. Like, why did I just heal fully?
Yeah. Also, every kill is like. Every kill like increases his power further to like up to 4 kills, I think.
Okay.
Look, now he's running much faster. I think one more. And I think that's gonna be, yeah. It's now like, so he starts weaker. One kill brings him to spaz, and then another he gets stronger. But because he kills every heal, he is like a snowballing like character. So this is gonna be tough to balance.
Yeah.
And what I found is that even though there are characters which are like much weaker on specific maps, they are still fun to use. For example, Zoe is very map dependent, but I found it's most powerful on characters or with players that know how to like take fights, because I am so fast. I can outrun bullets basically, and I can basically I cannot take this. Okay, now I can take it. Bam, bam, bam. He's dead. I'm gonna go back, grab this, go back out. Blah 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 blah. And like that. One thing I was basically kind of fearing with this is that I think people would demand a second stick for this game.
Oh yeah, for more.
Yeah. What I found though with this game is that because it doesn't have a second stick, the game has this nice durability. But I think it might be tough to swallow to some. But basically, you can run and shoot, which is fine. I can do that. However, I can only run and shoot directly forward. If I wanna dodge and shoot, I cannot do that. I have to either dodge or shoot.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's best, for example, take a couple of shots, for example, then maybe take cover, then maybe travel position and try shooting again. So it is a very fast game. It's like a weird mix between an arena shooter and tactical shooter, which is strange.
Yeah. Yeah. That is
Also, he just
interesting.
won't dying. Generally, I definitely want to rework the lobby so you see these like character attribute, and I definitely gonna keep it so when you leave you reset the scores, so you have to like pick a character and stick with it towards the very end or something like that.
Oh, interesting.
I wonder if FFA is probably gonna get reworked if that's gonna happen, because when you leave in FFA you lose all your score, I think. So it's probably have to be saved somehow.
Yeah, I'd have to check on the score stuff. That code is so old. Like, I'm trying to remember if it saves your score or if it doesn't.
I think it doesn't. When you leave in FFA, you lose all of your score, I think.
Okay. I think I originally set it up to save your score or something, but it was something dumb. It was like based on your name or something, to where like someone else could join in and steal your score by just switching to your name, or I forgot exactly. But regardless, in like the squads mode, that stuff will have to be kind of reworked anyway, or just like those basic concepts of how that works. Just because it'll be like the whole squad joining a game kind of together, so it'll be different code definitely.
I think one thing that they will definitely not be released, or at least I'm gonna think about it further, is the gun that I was experimenting, the launcher.
Hmm.
I don't have a lot of good luck getting powered, but basically it's this.
Oh, that's
So it's like a mid-range gun.
it. Looks kind of fun. Is there? So
It is.
what's the downside, or what's the?
The thing is basically you cannot hit people that are like directly in front of you. You have to be like positioned like in mid-range or something like that.
Yeah.
But in playtesting, I think it was kind of confusing. I would have to recode it and try it out because I definitely want to port this game to 1.6 or 1.7 or something like that.
Yeah.
The plan for now is at least to have a version which is like standalone,
Uh-huh.
and then when the game is like more complete and it's proven, we can make a you know,
Yeah.
an asset pack for servers or something like that. So it's
Yeah.
like in 2 phases.
Cool.
So
Cool.
every character got the treatment.
Yeah.
There's longer hair, more like uh, stuff. I don't know if Kronk got changed at any point. I think he didn't. No, he got some scars and that's it. Yeah, every model has like this noise texture to it too.
Cool.
So it's subtle, but I think you can feel it. Some
Yeah. They
okay,
like.
maybe
Yeah.
not here. Let me try.
Well, he just like he definitely looks darker for that. That might just be the lighting. Yeah, Kronk. Okay, you can definitely see a little more battle worn.
Yeah. So the game is so it's already in a very good place. I just have to like make a new versions. I mean, in terms of gameplay, it's pretty much finished. You can basically go play it. Only the deathmatch so far.
Yeah.
I can show off a couple of new maps and that's it. We are probably close to finishing anyway.
Cool.
So first the map which Sok worked on. Oh, that's not the map. But yeah, let's look at it. This is the dev textures I've been talking about.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's cool to kind of see the dev texture. So
it's the left. You know which is the left side, the front. For example, I know that this is a ramp that takes place higher.
yeah.
Stuff like that. So yeah, this map was good too. I envisioned it as like a skate park turned into like a shooting range or something like that.
Yeah.
So closer to the original Bomb Squad like feel
Yeah.
in terms of like stuff. So I played at this map. It's very fun. Zoe has lots of stuff. She loves like walking on the bottom left,
Uh-huh.
bottom side, because she can like pop out and run around. And for example, with a shotgun, she can like run to someone, boom in the head, there she goes, and then run away.
Yeah.
There's this is the map that Sok was working on.
Oh, cool.
So it's the first time Sok actually did any kind of like similar work. So he delivered me the map, the texture, and then I started painting it. It's probably gonna get reworked because now we know much more about this sort of workflow.
Yeah.
But yeah, some stuff has to be changed. For example, some invisible like collisions. For example, this is a plank which you can run onto, but when you run onto it, you get like slowed down.
Oh,
and it
yeah.
doesn't feel good. You have to like jump on it.
Yeah.
So we plan to make it like invisible like ramps and stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say that could be a good case for invisible ramps or just like cheating the collision mesh a little bit lower than the actual like visible mesh or something.
Yeah, the helicap can be camped, and I think this place too can be camped because you cannot pass the plank. You have to snipe them. But thankfully, even though the guns have damage fall off, because yes, I did implement damage fall off in this game. There's like you can still like do lots of damage on lower on like higher distances. Let's see how much time. I have lots of spread though, so yeah, you can definitely do that. But imagine like 4 people doing this.
Oh yeah.
It adds up.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, Gummies asks, how do you run without accidentally shooting or switching weapons? Well, yeah, the only thing you have is either shooting weapons or using a trigger. So I definitely gonna change it to like have an auto run or something like built in for this game. Because this is like 1.4 before I knew about auto run, before I implemented it. So yeah.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah. There's also this map, which is very experimental. It definitely needs lots of work. But definitely one thing I noticed is the Bomb Squad, like this jump is something that I'm really proud of, but it has to be like changed a bit to make it like more viable.
Yeah.
I definitely don't want this game to have like 8 players max. I'm probably gonna limit it to 6 or maybe even 4. We shall see. So this map isn't too exciting, but I've got 4 maps so far.
Okay, cool.
One of them is fully finished. The second one has the texture, and the other 2 are like only geometric shape. And of course, the main menu is not changed much aside from the
Yeah,
from the
a little
from
bit.
the title.
Nice.
But that's about it. I think that's the project. I'm probably gonna finish it. I don't know when, and I don't know if I'm gonna continue it. I'm still in like this weird part where I still don't know if what I'm gonna do and stuff. There's lots of project in my head. I still have to decide and stuff. But yeah, this is one thing at least. So I definitely wanna hear your thoughts about it.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Like, I love that it just totally like changes the feel of the game, and the whole like gun aspect is definitely not in the normal game. So yeah, and the over the top gore, I feel like that's just like going for that and going full with it is just kind of funny. I feel like it's gory enough, and it's like, well, I feel like Mortal Kombat. Some games that are like have gore, it's almost like a little disturbing. But this is, to me at least, it's just kind of like fun and goofy and over the top.
So over the top, it's like hilarious, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I originally envisioned it as some kind of like campy game where like badasses like fight each other. So for example, each person would have some kind of voice. Like I imagine Spaz with the Duke Nukem voice, or Spaz with the Postal Dude voice,
Yeah,
or Agent 47 with the Agent 47 voice. That kind of stuff. Basically put these guys together and have them duke it out,
yeah, totally.
and have some fun with it.
Yeah,
So I definitely wanna see if I'm gonna go for this angle with the voice acting and stuff, or if I'm just gonna leave it as is.
yeah.
Mr. Trevor asks if this is a plugin. No, it isn't. It's a standalone game, at least modified bomb squad. So yeah, you're probably not gonna get a plugin soon. I would have to do lots of work behind the scenes to make it work. Maybe better code, maybe add some mutation support. Because here's the thing: I was planning to have this game like be expandable, so you could have a game mode or a player like base, and you could just mess with it. You could increase the fire rate, make your own character class and stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
cool. I feel like you're doing enough like deep, in-depth stuff that it would be hard to do this as a plugin. I mean, technically possible, but it's like you're kind of like changing a lot of low-level things and stuff. So
Yes.
it fits better as just like a total conversion kind of thing.
Yeah, but it definitely still works with the scene one version of physics, as you may noticed. I had to do some couple of concessions, like accept that bullets are gonna be balls
Yeah,
and that they have maximum velocity and stuff.
yeah.
So I cannot change this, but I think because there's like limited velocity, I could still do things like you can still dodge bullets, and
Oh yeah,
and there's some skill involved in terms of aiming, and the running and gunning is viable too. It's
yeah.
not like fully hit scan, so it's still more fun to play if you can see the physical bullet and dodge it.
Yeah, well, it feels video gamey. That's like, at least for me, like I was growing up with games like Contra and stuff, where the bullets are like so slow moving around. It's just kind of like it feels normal.
Yeah, I mean the only goal I had with this mod is to basically make a satisfying shooter, and I think I accomplished that. Mix it with Bomb Squad's wacky physics.
Yeah, yeah, that would be like I'd love to see that ported into the newer versions or something. Once we get like squads mode going, I think that would be super fun. Like to play in squads mode, get a few friends and like take on 3 other random people, and like come up with your best team combination and stuff like that.
Yeah, so definitely mentioned he wants to participate in this project and help me finish it out, maybe, because like I said, the gameplay is done. This is the MVP basically.
Yeah, cool.
Maybe even vertical slice if you have lower standards, but I probably wanna ascend higher, go
Yeah.
higher with the quality and stuff. By the way, I still did lots of stuff. For example, the grenades, the scorches, the blood on the walls is scorches basically
Uh-huh.
with a custom texture, and the second scorch was used for the grenades. So only 2 scorch types.
Oh, okay. Cool.
For the blood, I basically replaced the rocks with the red texture and assume it's blood basically. It's like
Yeah.
chunks of meat flying.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I was gonna ask like which like dynamics bit did you use for that, but it totally works.
Yeah, I used rocks. Yeah.
Okay, rocks. All right.
I also did some flashes of red, which is like a star when you punch people.
Uh huh.
This is the same thing, but they painted red basically.
Cool.
And lots of lighting. Basically, try to make it as fast and satisfying as well. Because here's the thing: I'm kind of grown up with games that are like have crazy levels of polish.
Mhm.
And I think satisfaction is one of the emotions that I think games are best at.
Yeah.
At least because you killed this guy, you ripped his head off, and it's you that you did it, and it's like,
Oh
wow,
yeah.
I did it,
Yeah.
and it feels good. It's like popping bubble wrap or something.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and I think you did a really
Yeah,
good job with that, with like the guns and the shooting and stuff. Everything feels very punchy and like has a very like it's very clear that you killed someone. You know, it's very
yeah,
like pop.
yeah. Obviously, the sounds, not all of them are gained in a way. It's still a mod, of course.
Yeah.
But now, after that point, I have like a hard drive with lots of sound packs and samples, so I can definitely use some sounds like without feeling achy.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
And I did design some weapon sounds too, so I have some experience to at least try to match them with the quality of stock sounds that I used
Yeah.
in the original 1.4 build.
Cool.
So yeah, I have a long-term project I could do. I see people are like very excited for this. I don't know if it's because it's something new, or if it's because Bomb Squad, or if it's or if it legitimately looks like a fun game. Hard
I,
to say actually.
I think it looks fun. I'd like to play it. Like that. That would be.
I remember one guy like playtesting with me. We use Parsec for playtesting, which means I don't have to send builds and stuff.
Mhm.
And he actually preferred it to the original game, but that's mostly because probably, he just has like specific tastes and stuff. So the shooting probably feels nicer and stuff.
Yeah.
I think one thing I think this kind of highlights with Bomb Squad, and in general that the explosion sounds are kind of weak.
Oh yeah.
I, I remember implementing newer, punchier, chunkier explosion sounds. And Sok decided, you know what, I'm so used to these, can I just use them for explosion? And I just say, sure, why not?
Yeah.
And he just put them verbatim and it works.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna put in like a comparison, like so we can both listen to these.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't mind updating some of the explosion, like both the sounds and the visuals and things like that. Like, I mean, I was doing visual effects at Pixar. That was my thing, so I love doing that kind of stuff. So I know the ones in the kind of the stock ones in Bomb Squad could definitely be improved, and that's something that'd be super fun to do. Just a matter of slotting it in somewhere. But if you have ones that you're using, like if they're possible to purchase for or if there's some ways that I could take a look or get better.
I probably have to redesign them because
Okay.
I did use original explosion samples as a base
Uh-huh.
and then expanded them, but I think I can use them with like an actual sample library that I can point a link to and say I use this pack, for
Okay.
example. So it doesn't feel like a mod, but it feels like an actual implementation and stuff. And you can basically, and those are royalty free. Most of the sound packs have the same license, which is basically you buy the thing, you can use it in as many projects as you want, copyright free. I mean, as in public, commercial, personal, whatever.
Yeah.
The only thing we ask you not to do is to claim these sounds as your own.
Oh yeah, yeah. So cool.
You
Yeah,
can
that
still
sounds great.
You can still remix them. It's like very permissive.
Cool. I know there's a few bits of music in Bomb Squad that are basically from things like that, like royalty free purchases. But yeah,
I
it'd
remember
be.
some of these I think like were made like I think one of them has a higher orchestra, I remember, or something like that.
Mhm.
It was like I don't remember, but I remember one of these. I think the main theme or something. I don't know which one.
Yeah,
Like
it's
the performance was like made for the game or something like that. I don't remember. I should check the credits.
but yeah, I'm trying to remember. There's a few in the game that were. Yeah, a lot of the stuff was like from museopen.net. I think museopen something or other, which is royalty free music that was recorded by the government or certain things where it's like in the public domain.
US Army, Navy, Marine bands.
Yeah, yeah, stuff like that.
That's what it says actually. Okay, so it looks like it's performed, but yeah, it basically just means that this thing belongs to them. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, there's a few like when Johnny comes marching home, which is the theme for
Run around.
run around yeah, I couldn't find like a royalty free version of that, so I think I couldn't find like a public domain version, so I think I paid for a royalty free version of that.
So it's this one. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
There's a few other ones though. It's been a little while. I'd have to double check my records.
Actually, I remember. Okay, actually, I remember seeing the run around version of Johnny, in actually a movie, The Amazing Boat, which is like this weird, like low budget. We don't give a.
Oh really?
The movie. Yeah, it uses the same
The
version.
exact same version? Oh wow.
Yeah, same version.
I was actually like, it's not my favorite version. I have a version that I got off like iTunes or just something I paid 99 cents for the actual thing, and it's more like orchestral and or it sounds better. Like I'm not a super huge fan of that version. It sounds a little bit like synthy, but it works.
Yeah, it works. Like now that you said Siffy, now I realize, oh yeah, it definitely sounds a little bit off.
Yeah, like go listen to like just search for that song and listen on YouTube or something like that. There'll be more just kind of like legit sounding ones. That one sounds a little bit more like midified or synthy or whatever. But it, like I said, it's better than nothing, and I like that song for that level, so or for that game mode.
Yeah. Yeah, but to finish off explaining the game, basically, like I did mention that I work as a game designer and that squad modding kind of helped me go into that. And I
Mhm.
think GunSquad kind of gave me like a way to kind of express that in a
Cool.
way that people, can find them satisfying and stuff. It's Bomb Squad, so obviously it's gonna appeal to Bomb Squad people. And I don't have to like advertise this as a new version. It's like basically look at this cool shooter game and you can play it right now because
Yeah,
it's a game you know and love, and it's a shooter now.
yeah. It's super inspiring to me to see that you've taken the game and the pieces and mixed and matched them and kind of taken it in a different direction. I would hope we could like tie that in with the upcoming cloud stuff and all that and make it like accessible to
Yeah.
people easily, just like, oh, hey, check this out, give people a link or something or whatever, just
I,
to.
I don't want to overpromise, but I definitely want to tell about one more project, which is like in a idea state for now, but this is something I want to experiment with. But basically, Bomb Squad, imagine Bomb Squad that's way faster, like in every single way, movement, combat, respawning, everything. So you could, it would have a space theme. Every
Uh-huh.
bomb would explode on impact, no fuse, and everybody would just run around and do for it. And I wanted to see if I can actually make it work. I didn't
Interesting.
get to like gameplay, like prototyping the gameplay yet,
Hmm.
but after playing lots of Bomb Squad at a like high level, I can tell there's definitely a way to speed things up. I did prove it with my quick turn mod, so
Oh yeah. Yeah, the first thing that makes me think of though is just like, oh, client prediction. I need client prediction. That's like,
yes, yeah,
need
that's
to.
the
If it's faster, you need like good response times.
yeah. Now that I think about it, yeah, this idea is probably way too early to at least try implementing. I have to wait for better netcode because, or at least play on local only because,
Yeah, that's another
wow,
option. Yeah. Well, that is my. I mean, hopefully, knock on wood, we're getting closer to that world. I mean, the almost have all this stuff wrapped up. BA Scene V1 is like almost in its own little box off to the side, to where now we can start on BA Scene V2 and start making some of these bigger changes, like netcode and things like that, like fixing some of these more fundamental things that you know. It did feel very inhibiting. I felt like it was just hard for me to make big changes without breaking the code base with all the existing scene stuff. So I'm really hopeful that kind of having a clean slate theoretically to be able to make bigger changes will get some of this stuff going soon.
so I definitely can't wait to like try and experiment with it, especially now that I have like so many ideas that I want to have all of them, and at the same time, it's still a game that I kind of like messing with, even though I don't really play it anymore.
Cool.
It's still indie,
Yeah,
and that's I
yeah,
think the most important thing.
yeah. So
It's a fun thing to relax over,
yeah,
and I think it definitely shows that One Squad can be open to like many more like party-like games.
yeah, and that's exciting to me. It definitely makes me, like seeing what you're showing. It makes me think about like, oh, what can I do to make that easier, or like what tools or what building blocks could we put in there to make building stuff like that easier. And you've done an awesome job of just like hacking things that are there and like bending them to your will. But it's like it'd be awesome if there's a little bit more flexibility to work with.
Yeah, because if people ask me, wait, hey man, I want to make mods like you, how do you do that? And I'm like, it's pain. Sometimes, most of the time, you basically have to like do things the hard way, which is you're not gonna be shown everything on a civil browser. You basically have to go into the code, poke fingers around, see what happens, be curious. See this funny function, what does it do, and then see, okay, what are the limits?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know this existed. How can I use it?
yeah,
And I didn't know this like graphical effect is used in this one map that I never play. How do I use it?
yeah,
And stuff like that, questions like that. And it's always these questions that sometimes push me to better work. Like for example, I could make bullets faster. I probably would make bullets faster, but because there was the speed limit, it made the game better.
yeah.
limitation breeds creativity.
Yeah, exactly. I know you've mentioned that before, and I totally agree. Is like if you have a small set of things to work with, you find ways to make that set of things work. But there's a phrase in
Of
English
course,
like
not everything.
if
Yeah,
all you
not
have is
not
a
every.
hammer, everything looks like a nail. I think that's
Yeah,
the phrase. Um,
I think not everything worked because one of the weapons, which is the revolver, there's a mechanic where the damage that deals like way too much damage
uh-huh.
is allowed to like apply knockback to the player, and that includes stun. So you could combo people with the revolver. You could shoot them in the head and then do the second shot, which is guaranteed hit to like do a kill, which doesn't feel good.
Oh,
And
interesting.
I wonder, and I probably would change it to like have knockback, but not have the stun if I could do that.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Interesting.
maybe with the newer versions, we shall see. Because that's definitely knockback is something I need to keep because that definitely makes shots more satisfying.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Even the kickback on shooting, even though it messes with movement, I think just having the guns push you just a little bit definitely helps with the feel.
Yeah, it feels powerful or something like that. I remember
Yeah.
having like LAN parties with friends. We'd always play like Rockets mode on Halo or something. There's just something funny about like big explosive things that send stuff flying, or you kind of feel every hit that way. It's just kind of there's something fun with that.
Yeah. And of course, that's very important with the single fire weapons like the shotgun and stuff.
Yeah.
And people sometimes ask me, "Are you gonna add more weapons?" And I'm like, I think adding more weapons would only dilute the power up pool, and I think guns would like start like inhibiting each other. So there's only like very basic weapons. So it's like a pistol, a rifle, a submachine gun, a shotgun, a revolver, and a railgun, and that's it.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think
the launcher if it turns out to be a winning ticket, but I didn't test it for long enough to be totally sure.
yeah. I do think I would agree that having like a limited set of things is generally a good thing because then you can start to really feel differences between things. Otherwise, it's like you have too many things filling in the blanks, and it feels more like nothing feels unique anymore in some
Yeah.
cases if you have too many options.
Even the submachine gun and the rifle feel very different despite both being automatic weapons.
Yeah,
Like the rifle is more accurate but shoots slower and deals more damage at range, while the submachine gun is doesn't slow you as much while running and it deals much more damage up close, so it's like good for like shredding people up close.
yeah.
And just running at people like screaming some kind of Rambo stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of
But
like modifying music and stuff like on the fly, it always makes me think about little things you could add. Like if you're running at someone like shooting Rambo, like you somehow make the character scream in that case, or like just stuff you could like
I was like,
add to amp up the emotion.
I think when I wanted to add like voice acting, I think I wanted to do something like that. I think Conquer's Bad Fur Day does this in the multiplayer mode.
Hmm.
Like the weasels like shoot atomic guns at clean mother effer and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they shoot each other. Of course, it's a Nintendo game, so they have to bleep it, but
Oh
the
yeah.
comedy is still there.
Yeah, that could be funny. Just having just having a ton of bleeps. Just have all the characters shouting obscenities, but they're bleeped constantly, or
Yes.
just totally as over the top as the gore in a way.
So, but the biggest, of course, I did mention it before, but I think the biggest feel I have is that most people would probably demand a second stick, even though having the game be one stick does have a unique flavor to it.
Oh yeah, which then yeah that brings up different question, which is like technically we could have the engine provide that for controllers that did have a second stick, but then that gets into issues of like, do you limit which versions of the game can play it or something, or like the mobile version with touchscreen controls, or I guess we could technically add a second touchscreen stick, but that's getting kind of crazy. Um, but like if you're not limited to the four buttons and directional pad players, or if players that only have like an analog or a digital D-pad and four buttons, like are they not able to play or whatever? Questions like that.
Yeah. Or maybe as part of a feature set, maybe. Who knows? Or maybe it's gonna be in Bomb Squad, like built in internally, even though the game doesn't use it, just for the people that want it or something like that.
Yeah, you could, that's always an option, or something where like a limited set of games that are only available on certain platforms, or if you have certain hardware or something like that. But that starts to get a little complicated too, though, or something.
Mm-hmm.
But then the idea of like you could also just do a full like spin-off game or something that does require that, that's an option too, which I do want to kind of get into that when I'm showing like the feature set stuff. Like part of the idea there is that we could like basically bake out a copy of the game that includes some feature sets and not others. So you could basically make a Bomb Squad spin-off that is still using mostly the same engine and everything, but it's technically a whole separate game.
Yeah, I remember actually thinking about lots of ways. By when I finished bombing over it, I was already thinking about the next April Fool's game. And there were lots of ideas. For example, okay, what if I made a cinematic platform like Prince of Persia with Bomb Squad engine? That would be hilarious. Or have a survival horror game where there's like you go between rooms like in Isaac, and there's like a ghost or zombie chasing you or something, and
Oh
you have
yeah,
limited amounts of bombs or something. There's lots of stuff you could do, like mess with the engine. I think it's
yeah,
kind of similar to like Gary's mod, how you have this basic tool set, and people just give it lots of different ways to like find out how it works and maybe do something silly with it.
yeah. Cool.
But I hope this is going to be easier, so that people can actually show their creativity, because what I'm doing is kind of like an art that isn't like it isn't very common for people to do that.
Oh yeah,
Like it's very very tempting. Like imagine if I told you, okay, so make a punching that shoots a bullet or something like that. Most people will probably give up,
yeah,
and if they do, it won't feel punchy, or it will not feel good, or have some bugs associated with it. And then you don't want to fix that. You just want to make a bullet and that shoots and hits good.
oh yeah, yeah,
I don't know how much of that comes to limitations, and how much it comes down to it that you're making a game and it's a project. Like it starts
yeah.
to becoming like an actual work and not just a hobby.
Yeah.
I don't know yet, actually. I did too many things like that to actually think about it closer.
Yeah.
Maybe I should think about it closer.
But then, yeah, that goes back to, questions too, like what would it make sense to add, like, a gunshot object to Vanilla Bomb Squad, even if Vanilla Bomb Squad isn't using that, or just something that would actually like solve those problems in a cleaner way to where you wouldn't have to hack it as much, like.
Yeah. For GunSquad, for example, I had to make a new class called I think the script is called BS Ballistics, I think,
Uh-huh.
which has a bullet object, which you can basically change its size, its speed, the bullet drop, and stuff like that. And you could even change damage fall off, and the guns would basically modify that bullet that it fires.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, something like that. Like we could do like a built-in thing like that. Like one thing you mentioned is you can't, the bullets have kind of a speed limit because they're just being, rigid body tested at every step. So if they're going too fast,
Yeah.
they'll just go right through things. But technically, like at the engine level, we could just add like ray testing or something like that, just to support
Yeah.
instant shooting or sniper rifle type stuff or whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
So like certain things like that could be useful. But I do think
Even
like
though-
the slow bullets do look kind of like visually appealing, and it's kind of fun and video gamey though.
Yeah, I mean, if I was making a retro shooter, then maybe I could do hit scan, but I'm making a PvP shooter, so that's a different story entirely.
Yeah. Cool,
But
cool.
definitely, I would definitely change my code better. For example, I would probably make guns like classes themselves, so they could have like stuff that isn't like hard coded, like bombs are, for example,
Oh, yeah.
in the vanilla game. So you could basically define a gun, and the gun would have properties like fire rate and kickback, and maybe have and you could expand it with functions that happen like at specific times, like when the weapon's ready to fire and stuff, to kind of have more control over it. Because I already know people can make mods out of mods, which is a modception. So I wonder if I make GunSquad, probably people are gonna mod it.
Yeah,
So
that would be
maybe
awesome.
I can make it as easy as
A
possible.
mod
for
of a
people
mod
to
of a
make
mod.
with new guns.
So it'd be interesting too, like if you have, if you're experimenting with ways to make that, like make your gun system cleaner or something, like if you have feedback for like how could spaz, like the, built-in base spaz be modified to accept things like that in a cleaner way. I know there's a lot of cleanup that has to happen with spaz in the first place, like, just power-ups being kind of hard-coded as part of spaz, things like that. I'm hoping to split some of that out as part of like scene V2 and on, but if you have any like feedback on like what spaz could be, or how he could be modified to make stuff like GunSquad easier.
Oh, actually, I have one idea.
Mm-hmm.
Remember how most of the guns are black in my game?
Uh-huh.
There's also another limit. They're both like cloned, so that's another limitation I used to make the game more ridiculous.
Oh, right, because there's
always carry
only
two guns.
there's only one.
Yes, I just replaced their hands with guns.
That's funny. That I never. Yeah, I never thought of that, but yeah, we should. That could be fixed on Spaz, just like the ability to have a left and right model for his fists that are different. So,
And they're black because they use the same texture as as every single character. So they basically take the UV map from like a single pixel in the top left, top up that is colored black.
oh my gosh, okay, yeah, that's. See,
That's
stuff like
not
that is
something
like
that
it wouldn't technically be too hard to change. It's just like didn't think about that. So that's yeah,
yeah.
that's a good feedback.
Now, speaking of actual limitations, for example, if I wanted to make a new version of GunSquad, I would probably have like a text that shows you what is your second weapon in the second slot, because you see your current weapon,
Uh huh.
but you don't see the weapon in the second slot. You basically have to intuit that. Most
Oh
people
yeah,
didn't even know you have to have two slots for weapons,
yeah,
because it automatically switches you to new weapon when you pick it up. And when you pick up a gun you already have, it just increases your ammo capacity.
yeah. That's something.
So,
In general, I'd
another
love to make, like kind of the on-screen UI, the stuff that it shows like above the character, around the character, like that would be great to make that like component-based or something, so you can kind of add your own little UI bits or your own little meters for something, or, I feel like that's something that people would want to customize. So I'm hoping maybe for Scene V2 to kind of split that out and not have it be so like hard-coded into spaz, like the power up and, like life bar and stuff like that.
stuff like amount of grenades too. I mean, we could do that in vanilla too. But another thing we actually can do in vanilla is, for example, to have the second gun that you don't have equipped in the second slot shown on your back with its own texture.
Oh,
For
on your back. Oh,
example.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
So I have no idea how I would do that in the. I would probably use the same trick. Like that is basically costly. Basically, make every make a body for like every type of weapon.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That is
Basically,
costly.
have it like so. Yeah, that is wasteful. Like that's how I also did the animation for the shotgun. It's basically two models. But
Yeah.
the model is so small. It isn't like very hard to like replace one model with the second. But yeah, the limit is it's a frame by frame animation that's like two totally different shotguns. One of them is just tilted
Yeah.
backwards and lower.
Interesting. Yeah. That makes me wonder, like in general, for like character skins and things like that. I'm trying to think of like a somewhat of like a generalized way to be able to draw cool little things attached to their, like spat or like Zoe's ponytail or things like that. If we want to come up with different characters that had fun little things attached, like I don't know, just dangly parts of their outfit or something like that, or just drawing little extra meshes as part of them. I'm just wondering, like, is there a
Frosty floppy belly and stuff.
yeah, yeah, just like is there a kind of a clean way that we can make that stuff like that possible without having to do like super hacky things like updating something's position once per frame to match the character or something.
Yeah, I can imagine like replacing Pixie's wings with a gun or something,
Yeah,
and turn off the animation or something.
yeah, or just like kind of yeah that type stuff in general. Like yeah, Pixel's wings are a very like one-off hard-coded thing. Like if you look in the spaz code, there's like very specific code to do like kind of fake like wiggle physics for the wings and stuff. But like if we could generalize that, just like yeah, instead of a wing, draw like attach a little gun model here and have it jiggle around a bit,
Yeah.
or even if not
So
jiggle,
we
just be here.
so we definitely want to have some stuff like, for example, the adding like new appendages, which is like not dynamic but like actual physics stuff like horses, for example, for legs.
Yeah,
But we also probably want to add some stuff like limbs that are cosmetic or something like that.
yeah,
And
totally.
then control that limb if it rotates with the parent bone, or if it's like scales or moves with the parent bone. Kind of define the relationship between these.
Yeah,
So you
so it's
could
a
have, for
question.
example, a gun that always rotates in the with the with the torso basically,
Yeah,
and moves with the torso, and it's always like this distance away. So it's always on the back, and it doesn't like phase through. It doesn't like go from inside the belly or something like that. It's always stays like rotates around that single like center point
yeah,
of the
totally. So
torso and
basically,
stuff.
just like attaching an extra mesh to, the same
Yeah.
transform that mesh is using. Just
And this would allow for people to do hats. So you could, for example, okay, I have a hat model here, attach it here, rotate it like this, and attach it to this bone, and have it like that, and it just works.
yeah. Okay, so yeah,
And
definitely.
of course, disable the collisions for it because
Oh
it's
yeah,
only cosmetic. Head already has the collision mesh and stuff like that. So yeah,
yeah,
stuff like that. Basically, the simple stuff like the basic like building blocks to make any game possible. Basically.
yeah, totally. I mean, you could basically like characters could all be built that way. Like this, the default character would just basically be saying like, "Hey, attach a torso model to the torso bone." Like there'd be kind
Yeah.
of a standard set of stuff. And then,
Yeah, and then attach a cape to that torso model or neck model or something.
yeah. So okay, so a lot to think about for Spaz version 3. I guess it's technically version 3. Spaz version 1 was like the two sphere version that I showed from 2004 and last week if you saw that one. But
I
so
should check it out probably.
it was, yeah, it was fun. It was like the old models were, there was more like right now everything is kind of physics based, so it's just rag dolls with like springs pulling them around and stuff. But version 1, the actual physics, it was literally like two spheres, so it looked like a little snowman sort of thing. And so all the animation was just like keyframed, which was sort of fun and cute, but you know it didn't have ragdoll physics and stuff like that. So
I
it's
think the characters still work on spheres because if you let the spaz run and then you have the camera from the side, you can see how the spaz runs, but
mhm.
it still like floats above the
Oh
floor.
yeah,
It's
it's
not
still,
noticeable in the fly cam, but it's noticeable if you zoom in and you look from the side.
yeah.
And now that I said that, you won't unsee it.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly.
Everybody runs like they're skating on the floor.
Yeah, exactly. The characters are. I do need to get like physics debug mode back in. Like that was in there earlier, but when I changed the graphics engine, I didn't re-implement that. So like when I was building the game, it was possible to see everything as just like raw physics objects and stuff. So I need to get that working again. That would make your life a lot easier too, I'm sure. But yeah,
Definitely.
the spaz is the current spaz. He's got a big like roller ball for the part of the bottom part of him. So he is actually just rolling around on a sphere.
So it has only one ball and the rest is physics.
I mean, it's one. It's like there's like a roller ball, and then above that, I think it's like a torso ball, and then a head. So he's basically, I think he's like three spheres now, and I guess the arms are technically,
Extended version of the original like concept.
yeah, it's kind of an evolved version, and like he does have a full ragdoll in there, which is like physically interacting with the world and stuff. But it's pretty lightweight, so it's mostly like most of his heft, most of his like weight is in like those like spheres and things. Um,
Hmm.
So, but yeah, it'd be cool to be able to see that properly, like the actual physics happening there. But yeah, the original Spaz version 1 was really simple physics. It was literally like a head sphere and a bottom sphere, and the bottom sphere would rotate around, and then all the motion was just keyframed on top of that, which, like I said, was kind of cute and stuff. But it, there was no like rag dolls or no characters breaking apart, things like that.
Hmm.
So yeah, Spaz version 2 was kind of a big revamp. So Spaz version 3 will be even better, hopefully.
Or and probably expandable because expansion is like what I'm most interested in now.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally. Like everything we just talked about.
What could possibly go wrong with this ragdoll? How do I make it unrecognizable?
Exactly. I'm sure we'll see some wacky stuff with like all sorts of models attached to stuff in weird
Oh,
ways.
I remember thinking about if you could do it even in version 1, if you could basically replace Spaz with a ball and then have the ball be controlled with physics, like you push the stick and the ball rolls in like one position or the other, and you have a jump button and the ball is like going up and stuff. I thought that was possible in the version 1 because the input system, I think,
Mhm.
isn't like restricted to Spaz only, if I remember the code correctly.
Oh, maybe it's. I mean, that's another thing that I really want to do on Scene V2 is like generalize it so that it's not restricted to spaz. Like I kind of feel like the first thing I want to do is make like like ball squad or like some little simple mini game where you're just controlling a sphere just to make sure that everything is built in a generalized way.
Make a pond clone, maybe.
So also in terms of, I've got to wrap this up here. We've been going for over 2 hours, but
Oh yeah.
in terms of implementing things like client prediction, which is going to be a very technically challenging thing, I kind of feel like I want to do something real simple, like the sphere thing, just to
Yeah.
like nail down the technical parts, like make it so we're rolling a sphere around and it is absolutely like lag free, like make sure everything is working with just a sphere, and then we can start to forward
Maybe
port.
at Pig 100 or something.
Yeah, like just get everything, get the technical stuff working really solidly for very simple things, and then once that's in place, then start to port over like the full spaz and stuff like that.
Yeah, I like this plan. I wonder if you can actually, choose which props work with the new input system and which doesn't. Not input system, network.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it'll probably. I'm trying to think like how like what the best way to go about it is if I want to just do like a straight port of all the existing nodes and everything, or just actually like rebuild things one at a time, just like start with a sphere node or I don't know, maybe it'd be a sphere node or a prop node or whatever that would be, and then
Seems like such a big revamp. I would probably have no idea. how I would implement this. Like start like the smallest possible, because it almost seems like everything has to support it. At least
Yeah,
for events and stuff.
for client prediction, yeah, that's definitely going to be challenging, which is, kind of makes me wonder, like, should I punt on that for a bit or something, or just like get a version like Scene V2, which is basically Scene V1, except everything has like motion streaming or something, or like I'm trying to decide like what is the best like slice to aim for, because yeah, but
I,
full client prediction will probably require kind of not building things from the ground up, but definitely like revisiting everything to make it work with client prediction.
I guess we should take it one point at a time, make a battle plan basically, and pick something that you could apply to like everything, spheres and limbs, but then increase complexity as it goes on. Maybe start with like motion vectors or something like that, and if that works correctly, maybe we can start doing the interpolation, and then maybe start doing the network prediction and stuff. Save get the basics in place, and then start messing with them like there are tools in our toolbox.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely a lot to think about and plan and whatever, but
We'll
yeah,
have lots of time for that, so
exactly. I plan to work on this till I die of old age or whatever, so I still got 50 years or something. But
it's fine.
so cool. All right, well, I better wrap this up for today. Oh, the last thing, my internet finally started working again, so I just wanted to show this is Zombie Gunship Survival, the thing I worked on for a while, but there's like the infrared stuff. But if you can see there where it's going over the base, you can see there's a lot of like soft shadows and like some cool lighting effects and stuff. And this was all, you can see like light coming out of the buildings, like spreading on the ground, and this was all just like baked in as part of like the build process basically. So it was kind of a neat way to work. You could just like place lights and things like that in Maya, and then it would just like render everything out with like bounce lighting and stuff and bake that into the models. So that's something we could always add to the the build process if we wanted. You can see like right like there, you can see like the nice soft lighting. But anyway, that is that. All right, well, it's been fun chatting as always. So I'm gonna get back to my porting. I'm going to be going on a ski trip with some friends this weekend, so that'll be cutting down my work time on Friday and Monday and part of Tuesday. So probably won't be quite done with this yet by next Wednesday, but I'm hopeful the Wednesday after that, the stuff will be finally ready to go. So just another week or two here. It's getting very close. I almost have everything separated out to where, theoretically it's possible to build, like the big thing I'm trying to get to is where it's possible to like build the game engine without Scene version 1 included. So it's just like this process of like untangling this big like knot of spaghetti, it feels like. So that's kind of like the finish line when I get it to where like I can build the game and there's absolutely no gameplay in there. That means that it's 100% independent from Scene V1, which means then we can cleanly add Scene V2. So I'm very close, almost there. But yeah, I'll get back to that now and hopefully hopefully it won't be too painful for everyone to adapt to that, but in a week or two. Anyway, so it's been fun. So Mr. Mickey Rog, thanks for joining again. Been fun chatting. And
same thing.
Yeah, everyone else, I will talk to you folks next time. So peace out.
Cheers.
Cheers.